remember that this was a suggestion from Josip on like listening on listening from you on how to train for a 50K, 100K, and 100 miles. So let's say like long ultra running races. No worries. And what I was thinking about after returning from Chamonix this weekend is that taking into account that we had some members from our community participating on uh, OCC, CCC, and UTMB. We had Olivier also participating on ETC, right? So the 15 K race. So what I told them was that they could we couldn't invite them and challenge them to share their experience on how was it to train for this race. Like even though Olivier ran the 15K, you can share your experience. But if I'm not mistaken, so we had Nathan running the OCC, we had Pierrick running TDS, right? Pierrick, yes. And we had Ollie running UTMB. And I remember that Shlomi also ran UTMB last year. Maria's husband ran the TDS, but unfortunately he was injured, so he didn't make it until finish line. But at least he was there, which is the most important thing. But yeah, so the challenge that we have for our community members that ran the UTMB is to share their experience on how was it to prepare for this 50K, 100K, 148K, and also 174 run. And I've shared with them some topics that we could bring to the discussion, and we can start with the first topic that I shared with them. And feel free, there's no like specific order, so feel free just to turn on your mic or write it on the chat. But the first topic that I suggested was like what was like the state of art in what regards like physical and mental shape. What was what was the state of art before starting to train for the race? What I mean by this, like, were you already preparing for another race? Did you had any other races previous to this one? Did you start from zero? Like, how were you feeling before starting to train for the UTMB? Who wants to be the first? Let's go. Ollie, I see your smile, so you can go first.
So before training, so going back to end of September last year, I did 100 miles, so the Nice UTMB, actually to qualify for UTMB. And after that, I moved country, so I was based in the UK and moved to the region around here. So I didn't run for a long time. I needed a rest, and moving is stressful. So I was like, I probably took I would do a couple of jogs here and there, but almost 2 months, very low volume. And I think I really started to go back to increasing again the volume beginning of the year. But yeah, I had a long break, and I was quite nervous about it. But then on the other end, I think it was beneficial.
Why?
I think
Sorry, go ahead.
why I think so prior to that, I have been training for, nonstop for a good 3 years, not really taking any break. And you always feel like, oh gosh, if I stop, I'm going to lose all my fitness. But I think on the long term, I don't know. I really felt like my body was, maybe the main reason is when I went back to training, I really felt like I was skiing. I really wanted, not that I didn't enjoy it at the end. I always enjoy running, but I was really looking forward to it. And I really almost starting from scratch again, starting from a 30-kilometer a week and increasing slowly. I really enjoyed this process.
The question that I was about to ask you was that you said that when you started to train, if I'm not mistaken, you were feeling like nervous. But I remember that this week you wrote to me that
Oh gosh,
even on the day before, like on Thursday, if I'm not Wednesday or Wednesday, no, it was on Wednesday, the day of the
Wednesday.
community run, right? You told me that you were still feeling nervous, and the community run somehow helped you just to distress a little bit. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, it was really hard. Monday to Wednesday was really hard. And funny enough, race day, I was okay. Um, it was, I think, I don't know, I was like playing the game before it even starts. I just wanted to go and and yes, the run. And there is something, it's another topic, but I still need to figure out tapering because once, I feel like you need to recover, you need to reduce volume, but then you're like, gosh, I don't even know how to run anymore. So that's probably why. And also, I think you arrive in Chamonix, you see all those people, everybody looks so fit. And I'm like, I really had imposter syndrome. I was like, who am I? Like. So, but yeah, on the race day, actually, I was fine. I was really good.
It's I really love that point. I have like we could do like a podcast just with what you said. But let's move to Nathan, Pierrick, Olivier. Just share with us your experience on how were you or where were you before starting to train for this race?
Do that in a reverse distance order, something like this.
Yeah, we go from one extreme to the other.
So
Yeah, okay.
that would be Pierrick then.
Yeah.
Oh no, he froze.
Yeah.
Ah, he's
Oh,
back.
you're back, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, I'm back. Well, for me, the TDS was a 2 year goal. I trained last year for the UTB, the Ultra Trail du Beaufortin, which is 113 kilometers. But 10 days before, I had an injury, a sprained ankle. So I had to stop, and the main question was starting again with the Beaufortin this year and the TDS, obviously in 2025. But I had the preparation before the training, so I say focus on the same plan, do as if I finished the UTB, the Beaufortin Trail, and train until the TDS. And I switched from a friend coach to another coach. I think it was in late March this year. So the training started at this time with a lot of a lot of big weekends starting in June, July, and a bit early in August to run a lot, to hike a lot, and with a switch between hiking, biking, running, and a mix of all of that. And it went pretty well for me in the TDS. The
Good.
only training I didn't have was the sleep to manage a race that starts almost at midnight. The first 3 or 4 hours were very very long, and then it was okay.
Was that a
And
lesson? Was that a go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
no,
Nathan.
go ahead. It's great. It's okay.
No, I was about to say that was that a lesson learned for you, like for like long races in the future to train the sleep part?
I don't know because it was just the start, the first 3 hours. My brain was telling me to go to sleep, and I just had to switch it off and keep running until it went off totally. And I think I slept 15 minutes on Tuesday evening in Beaufort before the last night, and that was okay for me. I finished around 8 in the morning on Wednesday in Chamonix, so it was the perfect timing. No more, and then a short breakfast and 3-4 hours of sleep before having fun on Wednesday afternoon.
Okay, Nathan,
Yeah.
you were saying?
Yeah, I was going to ask, in hindsight, now that you know that sleep was like an issue at the beginning of the race, if you were to do it again, how would you manage sleep before starting at midnight? Or
I think I would just switch some trainings to a night session. I'm more into morning runs. Well, I did some trainings during the middle of the night, starting at 1 a.m. running after a party with friends or a big dinner with family, and just went running 2 hours. But I think I'll do it a bit more just to be in the mood. It's not a lack of sleep, I think, but just an habit to get. Yeah, and now that I run 3 hours and it just went off like a switch in my brain. I know how it works, so for the next time I won't be afraid. Just something you get used to it. You feel it. You say no, or just you forget it a bit, or put it in a corner of your brain, and when the sunshine, the sun is rising. It's just the good time just to switch your mood to another one and start the day.
Good.
I
What about
like
you,
what
Nathan? Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead, Ollie.
No. I just I like what you said about going after a party or a dinner, and I think it's super efficient. It's almost to trick your brain and sometime decide, oh, it wasn't planned, and I'm gonna go for a run. Like you're going back from work and you were planning to do Netflix, and no, actually I'm gonna go. And it's like almost like telling your body you were not expecting it, but it's happening. And I think it's super, I mean, mentally, but even physically, it really, really works.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
here's
One thing.
Go ahead.
Yeah, one thing about the last the last night session I did was when you get home, you just brush your teeth, you prepare to go to sleep, but you are still running in your head. The last one I started at midnight. I went home around 2:30 in the morning, and yeah, I had to wait maybe 1 hour before getting some sleep because it was just in it, full of adrenaline or endorphin, I don't know. But yeah, that's it.
So the first conclusion of this conversation is that if you want to train the like the sleeping part, when you arrive home, whatever is, doesn't matter what's the day, go to party and tell your mind that it's not yet time to go to sleep. Nathan, what about you? How was it before starting to train for the yeah. So this is a good reason. This is a good reason for everyone to start to do ultra running races. Let's go to party. How was it for you to train, or how was it for you before starting to train for the OCC?
Well, um, well, training went rather well for the first part of the year, I'd say. Like I finished my first 50K last October in Nice, and it went terribly wrong in the way that anything that could go wrong went wrong. I still finished, but that was really not a good experience. And so then I qualified for OCC, and I was not like mentally, I was actually really stressed about it because the only 50K I had done went disastrously, like really bad. And so I made sure to have like proper training before and to have enough race experience before. So the OCC was my fourth 50K of the year since May. I did 150K a month before OCC, which allowed me to feel good because I finished them without any major issues. So I came to OCC feeling good on that part. I also worked with a mental coach to help on, well, to help with some of the process and relieve some of the stress I was and the pressure I was putting on myself, which was also very helpful. And then, well, on the second part of the year, well, life happened. Like I have a job that is highly seasonal, and the more I get close to the summer, the busier it gets. And during the summer, it can get very volatile, where I can have days where I have just like one item planned, and in the end, I spend my entire day working and I don't get to train. So that made this like the last stretch from June to OCC very, very hard to manage training wise. But I still arrived with some type of fitness to OCC, which was reassuring. And I'm really thankful that I got on the start line with absolutely no pressure and just like I know what I wanted to do. I knew what I had to do to reach my objectives. And yeah, I was just feeling good, which was nice.
I have a question, which is like, so this strategy of running a 50K a month before OCC, do you feel that it was kind of like served as like a safety net, taking into account that on your first 50K race, it was like really bad, and you looked for other races just to prove yourself that I might be able to run a 50K race?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like the first race I ran this year was in Alsace in May, and I knew that theoretically I could run 50K without any issues, but I still needed to see it happen. So once it happened on this one, I already felt much more comfortable with the two other 50Ks I ran before OCC. But each race had a specific goal where I had to confirm that I could run without having GI stress issues. I could run without having major, like not, without bonking majorly and stuff like this. And every race had its own goal, which I reached. And so I got to OCC feeling confident, and I didn't have the experience from last year in mind anymore.
Okay. To close the round, Oli, do you want to talk about the experience before ETC?
Yeah, well, so it's a 15K race, so it's quite smaller, but still it was my first real race, trail running race. About a year and a half ago, I was more on the party side than on the race side. So I decided that, but still, I love running. So I decided to take my life into a better shape and stop partying, and so and stop hurting myself also because I was running not very well and I had knee issues and stuff like this. So took it into consideration, view our specialist, and tested a few of the training plan we have on apps, like well, maybe it's specific to France, but we have a few training plan apps and I've tried them all during this year. I ran the semi-marathon of Paris, the marathon of Paris, a few 10K, so on the road, just to test and to see if I was able to run a bit longer than a 10K. And yeah, when the HC was available on to subscribe, I decided to go there and on an inch. It was like really something I did without any question. So yeah, I was quite nervous on the week in Chamonix before the ATC, and I was glad to was able to ask Nathan, for instance, during the community run on the Monday before, because he ran this race, and I was okay. It was kind of a good thing to have some insight, and it was mostly reassuring than anything. But yeah, so that was my preparation. A lot of anxiety missing any session I had planned on the app I was using. So that was interesting. Now I'm a bit more, well, it's okay, but at first, if I was missing a session, it was like I won't be able to make it. So
There's always a first, and the firsts are always hard. So now
yeah,
that you know that you have at least the confidence to, or a bit more confidence on
yeah.
like on how to approach this. Is there any question that you'd like to just to bring up to the conversation, to the discussion, instead of just following the topics that I suggested? Is there any question that you'd like to bring, or something like a specific topic that you'd like to just to bring up to the conversation? Josip, take into account that you were the one responsible for this topic. Is there anything that you'd like to know in specific?
I was very selfish because I'm running my first 100K in 2 weeks. So I don't know, in 7 days. So that's why I suggested this stuff. Like, oh, okay, so maybe someone's gonna give me some good advice. I think it's too late for advice now. I'm just a week away. But no, I think it was useful from what I heard. So everything sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully it's gonna go well.
It will. It will. We trust you, huh? We trust
Yeah.
you. And here's the question. Sorry?
Which
Yeah,
race
no,
is it, Joseph?
So
Which
I'm
one?
running Wild Strubel in Switzerland. So it's a 100K category, but it's a 70K race, but with like 5,000 meter incline. So it's quite technical.
The views are stunning there. You'll see it's amazing.
Yeah, that's why I chose that one, because I just heard it's beautiful, like that and Eiger and then all those, like that area in general is very, very nice. So just yeah.
How many times have you done Box Hill to train for this incline?
Yeah, so I don't know if when you were in England, Ollie, like on Box Hill, there's this route called Box Hill Mountains.
Yeah.
So that one is you get 800 meter incline in 10K. So I've done that like 5 times last weekend. But it was good. Yeah. And it's that kind of incline, like 20 something degrees, that I think I'm gonna have during the race.
I'm just imagining like Josip in the gymnasium, you know, those like stair machine. Like imagine like going up the stairs.
And there is one downstairs. So I have a gym in my building, and there is one downstairs, and I always see people on it. I don't know. I have a mixed feeling. Did anyone ever use those Stairmasters? Like, because
I
in England, you can't really
I
find
did as well.
like a 1,000 meter incline, and then like even if you go to the tallest peak in Britain, that's in Scotland, Ben Nevis, that's like 900 meters, but it's not like in one go, so you can't really practice any alpine things.
But those like the stair ladder, I really like it. It's sometimes it's super challenging, and to work like, even if just like Pierrick said that he trained like some hiking, it's super good. It's it's funny, and you can add some weight to it. Yeah, there are some good variations. I like
It
it.
can be
And
useful. Yeah, I agree. But as
Yeah.
well, like step ups. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, and I know that before moving to Boulder, Ali was using this machine a lot last
True.
year to train for the Golden Trail, and it worked pretty great seeing her results.
Yeah, true. That's true. So we have already 3 topics, and obviously this is key for everyone. I would say that this is the question that most of us have, which is nutrition training. How was it? Like, I would say that Pablo, if you want to jump in and to compliment, but are you looking for like like any specific detail, or like did they try the nutrition during the training? How did they manage during the race? Are you looking for something specific?
Well, so I finished the OCC, and I had some issues before the race because I had an injury a month before, metatarsal sprain, which it didn't allow me to train. Basically, I had to like do cycling and a lot of like strengthening and so on. But at the end I finished, and I was feeling very good until Col de Balme, and I was in like 7-8 hours times, which I was feeling really good about. But then my stomach shut down in Col de Balme, and I couldn't eat neither drink until the finish, and it was very painful. I almost dropped in Argentière because I couldn't handle any longer. And I was just drinking water, not drinking water. I was just sipping water and expel it because nothing worked. So it was very painful, but at the same time is why I love the sport so much, because it's so humbling. There's so many aspects to it that you cannot control. And I trained everything I could, things that or you try to picture situations for the race, but then something that I didn't train that much is nutrition. And I'm not sure still what happened to my stomach because it was the first time, but I heard from others that this does happen. So I'm just curious if you have specific techniques.
Josep. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the same happened to me at the same place. And I think with Col de Balme, I've talked to some other people who've done the race. I think it could be that your stomach got a cold, because when you get up to Col de Balme, it's after that big climb. So before Col de Balme, you have that huge climb, probably the toughest climb in the race. And then you get to Col de Balme, and it's really, really windy up there. So I think both you and I and another friend I talked to got like a stomach cold, and then that just like completely ruins everything when it comes to your digestion and everything. I know getting down to Argentière and my stomach, like my girlfriend took a video of me and my stomach was huge. Like I was a bit fat then, but not that fat. but it was I was really bloated and I couldn't take any jaws or anything. So it could be that it was cold. So like maybe when next time when you go to above like 22 or 2300 meters, put on a jacket or something like that, because like I think my temperature went really, really down after it went really, really up, right, during the uphill to get there.
Yeah, and
Interesting.
I agree. And on top of it, it was also a really hot day this year during OCC. And like, especially all the time, especially when it's hot, you have to make sure that you take enough salt and electrolytes. Because if you sweat too much and you don't get enough, your stomach will also shut down because it doesn't have everything it needs to run properly. And that's true that especially this year, like because I think they changed the course this year, but because before it was a climb straight to Col de Balme, and now it's a climb to another refuge, and then there's a balcony leading to Col de Balme. So you spend maybe 5Ks above 2,000 meters this year. And so if you didn't have the enough like electrolytes and minerals, and on top of it, it was much more fresh up there than it was down the valley, it could definitely something that it can definitely mess with the stomach. I totally agree with you there. Yeah.
I also tried. So I think one mistake I did with nutrition is that, so I guess 8 weeks ago or something, like I did Valderan as well, as somewhat of a training, I guess. And I finished the race with a lot of solids, so basically a lot of weight. And I tried to change the strategy this time and like have less solids and eat them at the beginning of the race and then just go with mix and gels. So I don't know, maybe I changed something that didn't help either, but I know it's not a good idea to try new things and race day, but I just hate, I always hate to like finish with a lot of weight as well.
Mm. Besides this specific problem that Pablo presented, do you have any specific, or did you had any specific nutrition strategy that you implemented during the race? Like, I don't know, eating every 2 hours, avoiding this, give a little bit like preference to X, Y, Z type of foods. How have you dealt with this nutrition during your races?
Personally, I was taking 1 gel per hour, and I had 1 flask of just still water with nothing in it, so I could just dehydrate myself as I wished. And then I had this other flask with like in energy powder, like really high in calories, really
You can
really
talk.
high
You can
in,
talk about brands. I won't shut you down. Okay, you can talk about
Yeah.
brands.
It was a Santa Madre drink, which I really enjoy because it has a bunch.
Is it just me or
He was about to give a brand and you stopped.
Yeah.
You
It's not my fault. I can.
Test it right
Let's take a
away.
selfie. No, Nathan is
It's back. You were away for some time.
You're
Oh,
back.
okay. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Yeah.
I was saying that yes, like their drink Santa Madre is super rich in carbohydrates, so you don't need to refill as much as with other drinks, which is something I really enjoy. But then it was just 1 gel per hour, and I stuck to just gels throughout the entire race because I knew it worked well for me. It was mountain gels, but now that I have a 100K race in 1 month, I'm introducing solid foods into my training slowly. But like something I did for training to see which brands and which type of foods were working well for me, it's something that my coach gave me and actually worked wonders. It's on long runs, instead of just trying to have a gel during the uphills or whatever, I would take my food where it's the hardest for it to digest, for my stomach to digest. So at high altitude or just before downhill, and I would take this downhill really hard because that's where the stomach gets shaken the most, and that's where you can see which food sticks the most to your stomach too. And there were some brands where after those downhills, I had to run home really fast, and and there were some brands that just worked perfectly doing this, and that's how I found out which brands I could drink and eat and which ones I could not, by like putting drink training my stomach in a situation of stress.
Oh,
So you don't
that's smart.
You don't take solids, and you didn't take solids during the race?
During the OCC, no, but now that I'm switching to longer races, I will definitely have solid foods, both during when I run as like in bars or stuff like this, and at stations where my family will have sushis for me and stuff like this.
Sushi. I
I
know that
was
sushi is
also
becoming super
wondering,
famous. Go ahead.
did any of you use probiotics, maybe? Like for the stomach before the race, like or during the race, or not?
I didn't, but before, the week before, yes.
Like every day for a week?
Yes.
Thank you.
Maybe I can share my experience because I have a very different approach. I'm more low carb, so So during the race, I was only eating 15 grams of carbs per hour, which is very low. So I don't take gel at all. There's nothing in my drink, and I use just those bars that are literally, figs and fruit and nuts, basically. So yeah, just 15 grams of carbs per hour. I have my alarm on my watch every 40 minutes. I got something. And to be fair, I did experience other races, shorter distance, like 85K, where I took gel and I was faster. But when I but I had some issue. I wanted to vomit. And when I look at, okay, maybe I was 1 hour faster, but I still didn't win the race. And then if I compare going to very long distance like UTMB, on every time I don't do gel, I never had any gastric issue. Fingers crossed, but any. And so yeah, I just feel like it's a more sustainable approach. But again, I am not saying it's for everyone. But I'm just saying it works for me.
No, but
Yeah.
that's true that like gels are known to be stomach distressing if you take them too much. But on top of it, like they can make people sick because they tend to put the liver in a situation of distress too.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's why, like for shorter distances, I know I can handle it. But on longer distances, I know I will get sick if I get too much gels, because we know like it's not just about the stomach, but it's how it plays with the liver too. And there are people like I know of people who used to be professional runners and they had to stop because they were gels only, and they ended up with liver cirrhosis just because of the gels, because it's just so rich in everything you should not take basically.
But
So
I would say that this might work for Ollie because like do you have this strategy even for like the normal days, like low
yeah.
carb? Okay, so
Yeah.
your body is like actually used to this low
No,
carb
of course,
approach.
don't do it overnight. Don't go to your race and implement it. But I do most of my run will be fasted. I mean, anything under 3 hours, I don't take food with me. And I know that's the case for Kilian as well. I mean, not
Yeah.
that I compare myself to Kilian, but just for the anecdote. So yeah, it's getting used to it. And just for the funny story, I just realized I noticed that by coincidence or by accident almost in a race, I had a drop bag and I forgot to put my phone in a drop bag. Arrive at the aid station, I was like, "Oh, this is it. I have to stop. I don't have food. It's over." And then obviously I was like, it was 90 kilometers of Mont Blanc. I was like, I'm gonna carry on and see how it goes. And I started to feel much better. And I was being very careful with the amount of food I was eating. And then I was like, there's really something around this. And this is how I started it.
Good. Any other idea, experience, story to share on this nutrition part of also running races before we just move to the next topic? Go ahead, Pirik. Yeah.
Just one thing. The main thing or the basic is that I mean for me and for a lot of friends around me, you have to be consistent. You said before that you had an alarm every 30 or 40 minutes, and even if you're not thirsty, you drink or you eat something just a little bit. But because if you forget or if you don't want to eat for 1 hour, you get a big down after that. And you have to be consistent for long distance. I mean, because I'm the same. Sometimes for 3 hours, I only take just a flask of water, and it's enough for me. Yeah, for
No, that makes
20,
sense.
almost 30 kilometers, you only sometimes for some people you only have to get some drink. Well, water is enough if you know that you have food at the end.
That makes sense because like sometimes when you feel that, oh, I'm not hungry, you don't eat. But then when you start to feel like the lack of energy, it's too late for you just to put something, and then it will take even more time for the body to take all the energy from what you just eat. So that's a super good suggestion. Here's a question from Fred. This can be a yes or no,
Just
but
one thing.
go ahead, Shlomi. Yeah.
Just one thing, which related, sometimes, you take Coca-Cola in the aid stations, and sometimes the gas is just impact you. So usually what I do is like fill the cup with half Coke and half water, and it makes it, easier to drink, and then it's less impact later on.
Yeah, but I would say, at least for me personally, I don't drink. I never, I think, but I think that some people, this is what we hear, is that they like to drink Coca-Cola just for like the taste of it, and it has some sugar, and it's expecting to be like cold, not icy, but at least cold. And I would say that for the brain can work good, but yeah. So like I was just saying, there's this question from Fred. So everyone who run the 50K or 100K auto run, did you train or did you run this specific distance during training? I would say that this question is like on one push. Is that it, Fred?
Yes, it's because I just I signed up for an 85
Yeah.
ultra in November, and I run a lot, basically every day when I can, and but I never run this far. I run
Okay.
Paris Marathon, Nice Half Marathon. I run some trails, maybe 20K, sometime 20K at training, but I never pushed myself this far. And I was wondering, listening all the feedback from UTMB, OCC, and all that. If everyone for 100 miles, I guess you don't train this distance a lot, but if for a 50K or 50 miles, you run this distance while training.
Yeah.
It's if it's needed.
No, it makes
or
sense. It makes sense. It makes sense. You can go. For me, the question is super simple. Is no.
Okay.
Like, but again, it's from person to person, like and yeah, go ahead. Like, what about you, Pierrick, Nathan, Josip, Oli, Shlomi? So the ones that already ran
So
like a
if
50K.
I didn't speak about the UTMB, but I can say, you cannot train for the UTMB and do the UTMB as a training. But you can do
Yes.
something which, it's a bit too long. And
Yes, of course.
yes.
But for shorter distance.
Yeah, but also for shorter distance, I believe that you should do, something that probably most of the people know calls back to back. That means that if you need to run 50K, you will combine like day after day, 20 and 30K, 25 and 25, like these mixtures of having your body doing the whole length, but separated to consecutive days, and do it for a couple of times, and this will give your body pretty much the closest feeling for the actual one go session or one go race. So back to back, this is my way of running, because after when you pass certain distance, the impact to your body is higher than the benefit that you gain from a good training.
Okay.
Thanks,
And,
Shlomi, for for the feedback. Anyone? Josip, go ahead.
Yeah, I had two experiences, I guess. I was overcooked for one race and undercooked for another one. And I think undercooked works better. So my reasoning for the overcooked was because I train at sea level, that maybe I should train more. Because if I'm going to the Alps, it's going to be more difficult, more technical, more elevation, etc. And then for another race, for Lavaredo this year, for example, I was undercooked a little bit and it worked better. So I think, apologies, someone's ringing at my door. Give me a sec.
Well, it happens. It's live. We call this live.
Yeah. Meanwhile, while he's coming back, I would say that usually what I like to do is like do versatile training. Okay, go ahead, Joseph.
Yeah, apologies for that. So yeah, I think it's better to be undercooked. I agree with Shlomi there, and with someone else who mentioned that it's probably better not to do the whole distance in your training. Kind of look at it as marathon training, for example. If you're running a marathon, your longest run is going to be 35K out of 42. So kind of do the relative to that, the relative percentage to that for a race as well. And I do think that training elevation gain is more important than actually training the distance. So getting your legs to do the elevation. So the last couple of weeks, I remember when Ollie lived in England, like him and I would do like elevation those last couple of weeks more than actual distance. So focus on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say elevation and time on feet. Like the distance doesn't matter much in India. Like you have to have some distance in your legs, of course, but I would say that having, I don't know, a 3 hours long run will be much more productive than counting kilometers. Because if you're on a bad day, your 30 kilometers may take you 5-6 hours. If you're on a good day, they may take you 4 or 5 hours. But in the end, the 30 kilometers don't matter much is the fact you're able to run for 4 hours, 5 hours, something like this. So personally, what I do is rather back-to-back, but maybe on 3 days sometimes. Like I know this week I will have 5 hours on Saturday, and then on Sunday I have 3 hours, and then I have 4 hours on Monday. And I don't care about the number of kilometers you will make, but it's enough time on feet that you actually train to run this long, which is much more important than the kilometers in themselves, I think.
Anything to? I hope that you're taking notes, Fred. Huh?
Yes,
Here's
yes.
I'm kidding.
Back to
I'm
back,
kidding.
not the wall training.
But also go versatile. I mean, it's not just running and not just, do elevation climb. I do some strength session. I do yoga, a lot of yoga in order to do the reverse engineering of my body, just to not to get hurt and those things when your muscle get, tightened again and again because you're running a lot and everything get, compressed and you want to extend your muscles. So it's very good to do like a load balancing on your body and do it versatile. And when I'm saying back to back, you can even go in the morning. Once I decided in the weekend, I went to run like 5 or 6 times 10Ks in the morning, in the noon, in the evening, and then the next day, morning, noon, and evening. Just mentally and physically to go in and out, in and out, in and out. And just be spontaneous. Be flexible about not training, not just saying, this, I have one way of training. No, you have to be very flexible and agile because that will happen in the race itself. Things will start coming up. You will not expect them, and then you will need to be very flexible about your thinking, how to deal with them, which solution, what do I do now? I'm not feeling good. My leg hurts, and I'm not focused. I don't know. Like being very open to plan A, plan B, plan C.
Okay.
I really like that. I think what you just described. I would have this approach of to Nathan's point of looking at number of hours in the week. So the blog is the week, and but then I would definitely also try to always put the body in something you cannot really expect. I mentioned before going for a run where you're back from work and you're like about to go to watch Netflix, like, oh no, I'm gonna go. So it's almost like, and you could have a coach telling you that, like telling you run now, but you can be your own coach and do that. I like your idea of running several times in the day because it's once again it's something very different. What I would do sometime also, I would finish my run and I would have a voice telling me, oh, you were planning to do 2 hours. And then there would be a voice, oh, that was actually a joke. It's 3 hours today. And, it's always tricky, like tricking your brain, basically, and tricking your body.
I like it.
Okay.
So before we close, let's see if we have time to go on the like 2, 3 last questions, take into account that they might be short in what regard to answer or not. So there's this question from Olga. What's your favorite piece of gear to have during the race? We have already the answer from Pierrick. So my bag with a lot of drinks in it. We have the answer from Ollie, the normal race short with loops to carry poles. Also arm sleeves. They are easy to put on and take off, then changing your whole top. For the other ones, what is your favorite piece of gear to have during the race?
I would
Yeah.
say, I would say my shoes. I mean, it's one way to be really confident sometimes is to have this gear in which you trust, and it's like a superpower, you know. Sometimes you put on your shoes and you feel like you're really powerful. So I won't quote the name here of the shoes, but maybe you know that. But anyway, it's so a piece of gear that change a little bit who you are, and once you put it on, it's you feel like you can go really where you want and how fast you want. So yeah.
Good.
Personally, I would
The
just say to have still water, pure water. This changed everything for me. I used to have one flask of just like nutrition drink, and one flask of isotonic, but now it's changed it to have one of nutrition. I have all my like minerals and everything in salt caps, and then I have just clear water. And this is a huge change because when you're actually thirsty, you can drink something that is not mixed with anything else, just water, and this changed everything for me.
Okay. I saw that Shlomi was showing the medical gloves. This comes from the last conversation we had, and if I'm not mistaken, he uses this especially when, like during the race, we are all sweat, and to make it easier to take like the clothes off on and to just to manage all the things that we need to use. It makes
I'm on
it
mute.
makes it easier.
I was on mute. It's because, they tell you that you need to take like, waterproof or water resistant gloves. And then you have those gloves that comes with something on top, which your 4 fingers are, like blocked. So you won't, you get your finger, usually, because I'm, I'm not big or something, I lose feeling in my fingers during the night in a very high altitude when it's cold. So I need some gloves. And when it starts to rain and it's very close, like 5 degrees, 4 degrees, and then you cannot even, take and your vest, you cannot open anything because your fingers has frozen. Okay. And if you have big gloves, you cannot do anything. You cannot pull anything. So what do I do? I just put, these medical surgeon gloves, which are waterproof, on those regular gloves, and then my fingers are free, and it's also keep them warm, so I can touch everything, and that's the most easiest and practice part to deal with rain, on top of the raincoat and everything, and it's like it's amazing, saves
Is
life.
it below the glove or above the glove?
No, above the gloves, okay? Above the gloves.
Okay.
Put it, and then, it's waterproof. So you don't have to buy like very, very, pricey gloves from, I don't know, from where, in order and then put some stuff on it, and then you start saying, oh, what do I do right now? How do I pull something out of my bag? So
I love how like MacGyver this sounds. Like to use just some medical gloves. But it's again sounds super smart. One last quick question for all of you that somehow you have experience on running ultra running distance races. And just following on what Fred said, kind of, if you had to say what was key for your training, like one idea that was key that you think that saves your life during the race, that that, like, for example, you already said that, for example, training elevation is super important for these kinds of races, comparing to putting distance on your legs. But in your opinion, if you had to say, for someone that is going to run a 50K, 100K, or a 100-mile race, in your opinion, what is key? What they really need to take into account that might be gold for them to make it just a little bit easier, this adventure? Ollie, we can start with you.
I guess I would say building a routine. You need to be, once again, I said before, you need to add a little something, a bit of uncertainty, but this is maybe just 10%. The other 90%, if you have to think, oh, when am I going to run? And of course, it's always difficult because we have a job and all of this, but it needs to be in your brain, like a kind of a routine to go training and consistency. And association works really well. So I will share one I use. Like I would listen to a podcast I really like, and my rule is I don't listen to it anywhere else. That means if I want to know what's going on after, I need to run. And I'm very strict on it. I would never listen to the podcast if I'm not running. That would be my tip.
Good. Olivier?
Well, I have no experience on longer distance, so I don't know, but
what was key for you?
Consistency and yeah, it was really important, and focusing also on something I don't have in Paris, but I needed to climb to make my leg work on stairs, on everything. So always take stairs and never take escalator or elevator or stuff like this. But yeah, it's got part of consistency and also yeah. Consistency, and also, as Olivier said, surprise yourself with something, and yeah, it's sometimes it's not forcing yourself to do something; it's just surprise yourself. It's a bit different, and I really like this idea, and I will apply it. It will surprise me all the time.
Yeah. Well, at least people say that Christmas is whenever we want, right? So you have a chance to give a gift to yourself every day.
Yeah,
surprise.
Yeah, that's true.
Shlomi, what would be the advice for you, taking into account your experience from last year?
Well, taking into experience that I after 50K I started to vomit, and then I didn't eat almost anything until the end of UTMB, and I only drank a bit of water, and I just wanted to reach the end. I think at the end of everything, I think the most important stuff is the mental part. Okay, everything else is teachable. Is something that you learn during trial and error, that you try and you see others and you see YouTubes and you try gear and everything. But at the end, it has to be mental. You have to believe in it. It has to be something bigger, like something like a passion, something much bigger than you. Because if you don't believe in it, when something breaks, if you don't have the mental part, you will break very soon. Okay, you have to have. you have to, live it like a fire or something. I can tell, in very short, I had this situation in Istria when I was doing the 130K. And after, I think 100K, I started to vomit and everything, like nothing was left. And then suddenly, like hell broke loose with thunders and like lightnings and everything and storms of. It was crazy until the end. And I was standing in the middle of the field, and I don't know if you've seen like this movie. I actually look at the sky and spread my arms like this and started shouting on God. And I said, is this the best that you can do? Come on, let's see you. I got, outrage from this, and then I continued until the end. So you have to have this mental way of using it to get yourself going on. Otherwise,
Makes sense.
just lose it.
To close, Pierrick, what would you say?
Okay, everybody said almost everything, but for me, for the TDS especially, the nice part is that I live a bit more than 1 hour away from Chamonix. So I spent 3 days hiking and running in Le Beaufortin mountains. So I had some preparation just to look at the trails, not all the trails we ran, but I had a good picture of the landscape, of the trails, of the mountains around. So it was a good preparation. But on the other side, aside from consistency, you can try to change every time, or at least as much as you can the trails you're running. Because if you are doing the same loop every day or every week, even if it's a 30K or 40K or 10K that you do always, like running in a loop, always, just try on the other side, clockwise, anti-clockwise, the road next to you, the valley. Just take your car for 20 kilometers and discover something new, just to explore, to be in a adventurous mood, and see something new. Because on the day of the race, even if you already have run by day, maybe it's by night, or if some changing appear, you have another path on the day. So sometimes the race changes 2 days before the start. So there is preparation, there is mental preparation too, but you always have to be prepared for something that you don't expect. That's the point. You have to be 100% ready physically, to have a strong mental health, or a good motivation, or something that drives you. But on the other hand, you have to be conscious of the fact that something really can change the race out of nowhere. Some pain, some nutrition problems, a friend that you're running with that just can't go with you anymore, or you feeling good and you have to leave someone. That's all the special points. When you spend more than 1 day and a night outside, nothing can be prepared. So you have to be ready to improvise a bit.
So this normally in English we say that these are my 2 cents. In your case, we're more like 500 euros. So I would say that all the suggestions and tips you shared, obviously they are super personal. It's kind of like, don't try this at home, or at least try, but not on the day of the race. And I really wanted to thank everyone, but take into account that we challenged Pierrick, Nathan, that is not here, and both Ollies to share their experience with UTMB. We got lucky that also Shlomi joined, who ran also UTMB last year. But yeah, thank you so much for one more community talk. We'll be back on September 23rd. And the topic is training uphill and downhill. That's the topic of the next community run. I think that I shared the link already on Telegram. If not, just let me know and I will be more than happy to share it again. But thank you for your time. Thank you for being part of this community. Go out on trails, have fun, and we see you on Telegram. Okay? Thank you so
Okay.
much once again.
Thank
Ciao,
you so
my
much.
friends.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Ciao.
Yeah.